Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to have a presentation uh, about digital marketing and social media, and just a three parts with three people, and we're all going to each go over different things. My name is Chris Vaughn. I'm the Director of Marketing for Digital Sherpa. What I'm going to be going over some examples that we've learned from a year of blogging at Digital Sherpa. We're going to look in some analytics and look over some successes and mistakes and kind of how we think about creating content and conversion. The second part of today is going to be by Lauren Thomas, who's a campaign manager here at Digital Sherpa, and she's going to talk about how you can use visual content across the web to tell stories for your brand. And then the third part of the presentation today will be by Linda Simonton, who is an account manager here at Digital Sherpa, and she is going to be talking about a couple specific social networks like Houzz and Instagram and Pinterest, and how you can do some awesome visual content there as well. So I hope you guys enjoy the presentation. And again, if you have any problems with the visuals or audio of the presentation, please let us know in chat. When I started thinking about how to build out this presentation and how to talk about blogging in a way to deliver some tips to an audience, I thought about our brand and what we have done in the last year. About a year ago, we decided to start putting a lot more emphasis on creating daily content. I started thinking about a way to create daily content, and we decided really what we had to do is just start doing it every day. We made a commitment to start blogging every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, and really give the content that our audience and our readers have been asking for, and really to see what kind of results would be driven if we really turned up how much content we were producing on the website. So here is some of the lessons I've learned from a year of blogging. I want to start with a mistake. Once we did start blogging a lot and we started getting a lot more organic traffic, we also started noticing some weird abnormalities in the traffic. And one of those was something that led us to what I call the Lightbulb Problem, or the title, the blog post with over 1,000 visitors and no readers. So one day while practicing analysis, tip number one, always be analyzing, I came across something in Google Analytics which was a little bit strange to me. I noticed a post that had gone up over 2 years ago that had 1,300 views in the past year. This is a little strange because it's a very old post, and it's pretty uncommon for a post that's a few years old to continue to get a pretty high volume of traffic. You can have old content that can still do well, but this was still performing pretty well as far as the blog post goes for us. And I kind of wanted to look into why maybe it was still doing so well with search engines. So I looked a little further, and I saw some kind of things that set off a few alarms. The first alarm was people that had visited this particular blog post only stayed on the website for 19 seconds. For anyone that's ever looked at their analytics, or anyone that's really ever visited a blog, you know, it's a very low time to spend on page. That tells me that the person either wasn't interested in the blog post at all, or wasn't even really reading it. You also see that number there for bounce rate. That's 90%. That means 90% of people that visited this blog post didn't click anywhere else on the site and left. These are really troubling statistics. They're not in line with most of the content on our website, so it made me think something was wrong. And again, to practice what I preach with tip number one, we dig a little further into the analysis of what's going on with the post. First thing I do, obviously, is pull up the post itself. A post about account management and what happens when a customer gets it is actually a pretty good article, but you see here for a post with 1,300 visits, it's never been tweeted, it's never been liked, it's never been +1 on Google. Very strange, right? When you have a post with that many views, you usually have pretty good social metrics to go along with it. So I wanted to dig a little deeper, and I started looking in Google Analytics. And I noticed something, hence the story of the light bulb. I noticed that in the past year, over 1,500 people came to our website from the term light bulb, some variation of the term light bulb. This is really bizarre because, you know, we're a marketing agency. We don't sell light bulbs. We don't really have anything to do with light bulbs. So it's not the kind of traffic we should be getting, and it's not really the kind of traffic that we want. So why was this? A little more analysis, a little more digging. I started Googling Lightbulb. I just thought maybe, hey, if I Google Lightbulb, maybe digital Sherpa is showing up for some reason. I couldn't find it on the search results, but then I went to Google image search, and lo and behold, as you see here in the bottom right, there's this picture of the light bulb from the blog post that you guys just saw. And this was the light bulb from Digital Sherpa that was serving up on the Google Images page for light bulb. Why did this happen? Leads me to tip number 2, be thorough. You see here, this is the WordPress image settings for the light bulb that's in the post. You go into the post in WordPress, you click on the image, and some settings come up. You see here that the person that wrote this post 2.5 years ago, rather than being thorough, rather than dotting the I's and crossing the T's, had just left the title light bulb and put in the alternative text light bulb. As some of you may know, some of you may not, the alternative text is the actual content that Google scrapes when it looks at images. This is what conveys what the image is about to Google so that they can put it into their search engine and rank it appropriately. Now, obviously, this is a picture of a light bulb, so it is appropriate that you would call it light bulb, but what's not appropriate is to tell Google that this is simply a light bulb and not related to the story somehow. The correct alt text for an image like this would have had something to do with the content on the page. It would have had something to do with account management. Because simply we just put light bulb, we ended up getting around 1,500 visitors to this blog post, but all they were really doing were looking for pictures of light bulbs on Google Images so they could use maybe in their own presentations or their own blog posts. This led to a lot of people coming to our website but never browsing it. It also led to a high bounce rate and low time visit duration. And these are factors that actually negatively affect the SEO of our website. So now we put ourselves in a situation where Google thinks we have some authority with light bulbs, but the authority that we do have, we have really bad statistics to go along with it. So the easy fix here would be to just change the alternative text like we did. We went back and changed it to something about account management so we don't get that traffic that we don't need. Not all traffic is good traffic. Tip number 3, something we do on every page and every piece of content we try to put on the web is thinking about conversion. A really easy example is a blog post here that we wrote this year about Facebook lists and restricted Facebook lists. This is a pretty helpful post to readers who create Facebook lists maybe for their family, their friends, or their workers, and a post that was pretty popular for us. You can see at the bottom of this post, we put what's called a call to action. This call to action is to download an ebook. The ebook happens to be about Facebook, which is the same topic that the blog post is about. We thought it would be interesting to our readers. We thought they would click on this a lot because they're already interested in reading news and stories about Facebook. You see here, it's a free ebook. It's all valuable educational content. And when they click it, they go through to a page like this called a landing page. The landing page here, all we're asking for in exchange of this download of this ebook are a few basic things: first name, last name, phone number, email. By getting this information, we can put them into our marketing funnels. We can, from this point on, send them emails about ebooks, send them emails about white papers. This isn't a chance for us to spam our customers, but it is a chance for us to deliver more content like the one they've already shown interest in downloading to them directly. So maybe we have another great ebook about Facebook in the future, and we can add this person to a marketing list because we know that they're interested in downloading Facebook ebooks, right? So now we have this person's information. We have a chance to communicate with them and maybe talk with them in the future if they're interested in any of our services. So what do we do once we have all this awesome lead information? We've written our blog posts, we've made our call to action, we've written our ebook, we've gotten people to fill out the forms. What do we do with all that valuable information? You have to measure results, and that's tip number 4. You see here is a very basic breakdown of the activity of this ebook in question, the one we were just looking at. You can see here that social media has driven 220 people to this ebook over the course of time. 59 of those people actually ended up filling out the form and downloading the ebook, and we have their information now. Those are new leads. So you can see that's a pretty good conversion rate of 26.82%. I would look at this when looking over our campaigns and programs and say, hey, ebooks about Facebook or ebooks around this type of content do really well for us. It delivered over 300 business leads. I think a lot of you, the business owners out there, would think I would, pay a good amount of money for 300 leads. That ebook has really demonstrated a really strong ROI for the business. And if we really wanted to go a step further, we could look into how many of those 304 leads became customers, how many of them were already customers, et cetera. So we could get a real cost per acquisition on a very specific marketing campaign. Another thing we started really practicing in the last year is testing. We started taking testing more seriously and trying to do it on deeper levels. Let's go back to the ebook that you just downloaded. So you filled out the form and you go to a page like this, and you have a link that shows up. Maybe you downloaded this white paper about Google Plus that we're offering. On this page, you see right at the bottom, it's a very simple button, stands out in a different color for consultation. Now, this is a very serious request for us, right? This is actually getting someone from the web that's a visitor of ours to request a talk with someone that works for our company. This is very bottom of the funnel. We've gotten them to come to our website. We've gotten them to open up a dialogue a little bit now, but now they're actually ready to speak with someone at the company about our services. So this simple little green icon, our button, as simple as it may seem, is probably the most valuable piece of real estate that we have on our website. So we take it very seriously. And that's down to testing the very most minute aspects of the button. So we did. We created a test with our two colors, our brand colors, the green and blue, it's our Sherpa colors, and we created a button in each color. And you can see here that this button has been viewed over 12,000 times, and each variation has been viewed a little over 6,000 times. So what's most interesting? How often is that button clicked? Again, this is a very bottom of the funnel, time-intensive offer. People that request a consultation are committing a certain time, 30 minutes, an hour of their life to talk to us. It's very difficult to get people to click on these buttons and give you their time. It's only people who are really serious about marketing services or outsourcing or talking with our company about what we can do. So you see here that the green button got clicked 91 times for a 1.5% conversion rate. But the blue button got clicked 77 times for 1.2 conversion rate. Even more interesting, after the click, 16 people actually submitted and got the consultation from the green button, and only 8 people got it from the blue button. After a round of testing, we would say, hey, for this particular button on these types of pages, we should go with the green button. It has a higher click-through rate. We're getting more consultations. Tip 6, take advantage of the available and free tools. So you've kind of seen some use that we've made out of some of the tools we have, but a lot of these are free, and I've shown you a lot of Google Analytics already, so naturally I think that's the first one I'll talk about. Here's a blog post that Justin Fishaw, who works at Digital Sherpa, wrote for us this year that's done really well for us. It's just a simple, informative blog post about online reputation management tools. So we want to look at how this post is done. Free tool number 1, Google Analytics. I go into Google Analytics and I pull up Justin's specific blog post to see how it did. First thing you'll notice, the page views that have come from a certain keyword. That means someone searched these terms to find the blog post. Not provided is number 1. Some of you might be familiar with this. Google has certain privacy laws. So if you're actually logged into Google or a Gmail customer and you're searching on the web, while logged in, Google will protect how you search. So not provided simply means Google's not serving up the keywords they use to find us, which ends up being well over 50% of the keywords most of the time. So you kind of have to use a smaller sample on the ones they do show. You can see that the third one here, online reputation management tools, over 200 people found our blog post by searching for that on Google. And really, in reality, it was probably more than 200 because a lot of those not provided were using that keyword. Fourth one, online reputation management. Very similar keyword without a certain word at the end. You can see it also delivered traffic. So I've now realized that we have some authority with Google about this specific keyword. They decided that our content was great about it. They decided it aligned with our website and our services. And so they're serving us up on page 1 of Google for that keyword. So in content strategy, the way I'm thinking, we should do more content about online reputation management tools because this delivered us some pretty good traffic. It's been a really successful blog post. Free tool number 2, I go to Google Keyword Planner. It's really easy to find. Actually, if you just want to go to Google and type in Google Keyword Planner, you can get the link to it and go check it out yourself. But basically what it allows me to do is put in the keyword that we've had success with my website, and Google will serve up an entire list with ad groups, if you're doing any sort of advertising, about what kind of keywords I should be using that are similar to online reputation management tools. I can get thousands of suggestions here. It tells me how often they're searched, how competitive the keyword is. And so we might look at this list of some 1,000 keywords and pick out 5 and say, hey, let's try to write blog posts about these 5 similar keywords and see if we can replicate the same success that we had with the first blog post. Last tip, SEO is an ongoing practice. Never stop optimizing. SEO, for those not familiar, to put it very simply, is the practice of optimizing and working on the pages and the assets of your website to make them as friendly as and accessible for search engines as possible. Something we take very seriously, and one of our most important services, is blog writing services. We write blogs for clients. We have many, many clients that we write all types of blog content for all types of businesses. So naturally, the keyword blog writing services is something we take very seriously and try to rank for on Google. You can see here that we have a web page on our website just for blog writing services. That's the title of the page, and we're really going after trying to optimize for it. So we track, where are we on Google? You can see right now we're ranked 6 on page 1, which is very good. So how did we get there? How did we create a web page that eventually did get to page, or rank number 6 on page 1 of Google? It's the simple practice of SEO. You can see here some of the work we do. We create these on-page report cards for our specific pages. You can see I put in the keyword and the URL for that specific page, and then we get in some technical, nerdy type stuff where we set critical ranking factors for that page. Are the keywords right? Are the header tags right? Are the images labeled correctly? Is the page title correctly? And by practicing all these small details, we create a page that's really perfectly optimized for SEO. Unfortunately, today I'm not going to have a chance to get deep into talking about SEO. It's something that you could have webinars for hours and hours about. Feel free to shoot me an email at chris@DigitalSherpa if you have any more specific questions about SEO. But I wanted to give you a little insight into kind of how we think about ranking pages and how seriously we take the smallest details like keywords. So now we're going to get into the next part of the presentation. Lauren Thomas is here, and we're going to start talking about some stuff that's a little more fun and a little less technical, and she's going to talk to you guys about some awesome visual content that brands are using to tell stories on the web. Thanks.
Hey everyone, thanks again for joining us this afternoon. Again, my name is Lauren Thomas, and I am the campaign manager here at Digital Sherpa. I work with our premium clients to help them really increase their audiences online and drive engagement. And Chris did a great job of giving you the inside scoop on how we at Digital Sherpa are using our blog to really stay in touch with our clients and prospects, build our authority as thought leaders in the space, and also build our business. As you may have suspected, we're not blogging for the sake of blogging, and we're not using social media for ourselves or our clients because it's a cool, hip thing to do. We're really doing it because it works if you work it. And we've seen in the past year or so a tremendous increase in the rise of visual social media platforms. So I'm going to share a few tips on visual storytelling and how you can use images and pictures to really take your brand to the next level online. The first step here is really to define your voice and your visuals. Nothing gives away a small company online faster than a really inconsistent brand presence. And you may have seen this yourself. You go to a company's website and it looks one way. You check them out on Facebook or Twitter and it's a whole different look or feel, like they're social media schizophrenics. And you don't want to come across that way yourself. So 2 key things to think about is 1, what does your brand sound like? What is your tone and personality? Are you funny or serious? Are you casual or really a little bit more professional and polished? You want to think about that tone and carry it across everywhere you are online, whether it's your blog, your Facebook, or your Twitter. You also want to think about key messages that represent your brand and how you can leverage that message across different platforms to let people know what they can expect from you. Once you've got your voice down, you really want to think about your visuals. How does your brand look online? What's the logo that you use? What kind of colors do you use to represent yourself? At Digital Sherpa, our main colors are blue and green. You'll see that on our blog, on our Facebook, on our website. So we reinforce this brand image over and over and over. And finally, you also want to really optimize your profile for each social network. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, you want to completely fill out your username, your profile, about me information, and links back to your site. You want a great cover image, a great profile picture, and you want to make sure that wherever you live online, you've got that information completely filled out. And here's a great example of visual branding from one of our clients, Cottage and Bungalow. And they're an online retailer of really luxurious and carefully curated accessories and home decor. And you'll see on the left is an image of their website. You've got a very clear picture of what they're about, this coastal living inspiration and what they sell. They also have the tagline, "Escape to your home." And on the right, you'll see a picture of their Facebook page. And again, you're seeing the same colors, this white and blue. You're seeing that same tagline, "Escape to your home," and you're seeing that same coastal image. So again, it's reinforcing the brand with both the visuals and the voice. So think about how you can use that for your business so you also come across as polished and professional. The next tip is that images are really more powerful than words. We're seeing more and more. Our screens are getting smaller and smaller. We're shifting from these huge desktops to laptops to iPads to iPhone, and it literally is getting harder and harder to read text when you're on the go. So pictures and short videos are a great way to stand out online. Think about pictures as a trailer for your written content. That's the thing that's going to grab attention before someone's going to sit down and read an entire blog post. On Facebook across the board, posts with photos generate a lot more engagement. We're also seeing over half of the top brands in the world on Instagram because that's a really popular mobile photo sharing network, and these brands are seeing the power in sharing photos to share their stories. So how can you leverage this for your business? The first step is to create a visual content strategy. And that's just a fancy way of saying have a plan for how you're going to create and share content. As part of this, you want to know yourself. Who are you? What do you represent? And what are you offering? You also want to know your customers. Who are you trying to reach? How old are they? Are they mostly men or women? What are their interests? And knowing these, you can really tailor your content to suit their interests. You also want to come up with a plan for how you're going to create content and how and where you're going to share it. The more you can plan this in advance, the easier it is to maintain great visual content online long term. Once you've got that plan in place, it's really important to share photos that are really relevant to your brand. LOL cats and snarky e-cards are really funny, but if they don't represent your brand really well, they may not be the best content for you to share. The bottom line is you want to use images to tell your stories. I mentioned that images engage really well on Facebook, and here's a study from HubSpot that came out last fall that really illustrates that. So we're seeing across the board on Facebook, photos get about 39% more interaction than any other kind of content. Over 90% of the most engaging posts on Facebook include photos, and they also get significantly more likes, comments, and click-throughs than anything else. What I often recommend to people on Facebook is to kind of have a 3 steps to a status. The first is some short text. The shorter the better. A link back to your website or an article you're referencing, and also a photo. And that 3-step combination can really help you to stand out in the news feed and encourage more engagement from your audience. The next tip is to think in themes. When we're in the weeds with our blogs or our businesses every day, it can get really hard to figure out, well, what kind of content can I create? And these themes are really great for kickstarting ideas. One idea is to think in before and after. So you see this a lot when you're watching a weight loss ad. A lot of before and afters are really big, and this can be a great way to highlight what you have to offer and how you can help your customers. So if you're a landscaping architect or an interior designer, for example, maybe it's a before and after of the client's lawn or their home, before you work with them and after to showcase the results you give. And that can be a great selling tool. You'll also want to share how-to information. That's a huge area. People are online constantly looking for how to do things, whether it's how to tie a tie or how to paint a wall in their bedroom. It's a huge resource. And if you can provide great how-to information, whether it's a short video or a photo, you can set yourself up as a resource and a thought leader in that space. Collaboration boards are also really big, whether it's a photo collage on Facebook or a Pinterest board. And the cool thing about this is you can share your inspiration and what gives you creative fire, as it were, and that's a great way to let people know what drives you and what drives your business. And the people who really appreciate and resonate with what you share may also want to do business with you based on where you're getting your creative direction from. Behind-the-scenes content is also really great because it lets people know a bit more about who works at your company and what you value. And that's a big factor in getting people to know you, like you, and trust you. And that can really help you convert looky-loos and online fans into paying customers. And the final set of themes to keep in mind are key holidays or seasons and pop culture. Think of social media as a giant cocktail party that happens around the clock 24/7. And when we often get together, the first things we talk about are the weather, the holidays, and what's going on in the news, right? So you want to think about how you can tie into those trends to really get your business into a larger conversation. So for example, we've got the holidays right around the corner. People are already planning for travel. So if you're a travel agent, maybe you're sharing information on how to get the best deal at the holiday season. If you're an interior decorator, maybe it's how to revamp your home for the fall, or how to make holiday decorating as easy as possible. And here are a few great examples that we've used at Sherpa. One is for our client, Cottage and Bungalow. Summer was winding down, and we said, hoping you make some wonderful memories this summer. So it ties in again to that seasonality. And we've also got a behind-the-scenes photo that shares a few of our staff members enjoying a summer barbecue we had here. So you're seeing literally who works at the office and what kind of culture it is. The next step is to repurpose content. It can be incredibly overwhelming to create content for every network out there, right? You're on Facebook, you've got a website, you've got Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and there's a new social network popping up every 10 minutes. So how do you create content everywhere you live online? And the secret here to cut down on overwhelm is to really cascade content across platforms. And by that I mean shoot once and use thrice. So here's another behind-the-scenes photo that we had at a recent barbecue. And we use this picture on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So again, we're shooting it once and using it 3 times. And that really cuts down on having to recreate the reel over and over and over with every new piece of content. For you, really think about what kind of content you already have. Maybe you just did a photo shoot for your portfolio. Maybe you have pictures you used in a print ad. Think about what you have and how you can repurpose that online. Also think about what's coming up. What are you working on or doing that might be a good opportunity to grab a photo or a video? The more you can plan in advance and use what you have, the more you can streamline the process of creating really great content for the web. We're also seeing photo collages are really taking off, which I love. So I've got an example of a photo collage here. You may have seen them on Pinterest or Facebook or Instagram. And if you're interested in doing that, 2 of my favorite tools are PicStitch, which is a free iPhone, and Diptyque, which is another iPhone app that has about over 100 collage layouts. And Pixlr is a web-based photo editing tool, kind of like a Photoshop Lite. The next tip is to really experiment with hashtags. And whenever I say this, someone always asks me, what the heck is a hashtag? And the best way to explain it is a hashtag is a keyword or phrase with a pound mark in front of it. And why it matters is because there's so much information on the web, it can be incredibly hard to filter the signal from the noise. Hashtags let you hone in on a conversation about what matters to you, whether it's an industry trend or what the world thinks of the new episode of Scandal. So it really lets you join larger conversations. And for you, think about hashtags that tie into your industry. If you are serving a particular community, think about hashtags that tie into your geography. Here in Atlanta, I often use hashtag ATL to share news about events or what's happening locally. You can also share about your products or services. At Digital Sherpa, we use hashtag social media a lot because that's what we specialize in. A lot of our design clients, you might use hashtag interior design. And I also think about key trends. And this photo here is an example that our social media specialist, Sarah Minter, shared on our Facebook. And she's tapping into this huge trend of vampires in pop culture. Right? She said 3 ways vampires are sinking their teeth into social media. And she hashtagged vampires and also 3 huge vampire shows or movies in order to tap into that wide conversation around Twilight. And a few tools you can use for this. If you're new to hashtags and you're not sure what to use, one little secret we share is look at other people in your industry. If there's a big company or thought leader in your space, look at the hashtags they're using and use that to create ideas for using them for your business. Also, do a quick search to see who's using what. On Facebook, use the new graph search. Just type in the pound mark and the words you're looking for and see what other people are having a conversation using that hashtag. On Twitter, the Twitter search is great. You can find that by logging into Twitter or going straight to search.twitter.com. And there's a new tool called Tagboard that lets you find hashtags across a variety of social networks. And this is in beta now, so it's not open for general use, but keep an eye on it because I think this will be a really cool tool. And we're also seeing videos becoming incredibly popular online. It's a really powerful way to communicate with your audience. And a few ways you can start using videos. One is to share your brand culture and values. So maybe it's an About Us video. Maybe it's a video highlighting your mission statement. Also showcasing products and services, whether it's behind the scenes of work on a product or product demos, those are huge. Another big area for video is do-it-yourself or how-to tips. Again, people are always looking for information online, whether it's how to decorate your bedroom or how to get your lawn ready for the holiday season. Think about how you can tap into this how-to craze and provide information that's really going to give value to your audience and establish you as a go-to resource in your space. And finally, highlight happy customers, right? Text testimonials are great, but video testimonials take it to a whole new level. And I can't be the only one who kind of wonders about those text testimonials. If you got a video, people aren't going to question whether or not those testimonials are legit. So think about getting your really hardcore fans and asking them to do a video testimonial for your customers. And the final tip, Chris mentioned this, always be analyzing. It bears repeating, so I'm going to say it again. You've got to leverage analytics to know what's working for you and what's not. The cool thing about marketing online is that we're not just throwing pasta at the wall to see what sticks. You can really measure it. A few things to want to look at are demographics. Is your audience mostly male or female? Are they old or young? What are they interested in? This lets you tailor content to really suit them. You also want to see what's popular. What's getting replies or retweets on Facebook or Twitter? What is getting the most likes and engagement? And you want to keep doing more of what's working and less of what's not. And finally, when is the best times to post? If you go into your Facebook Insights and see that your audience is online at 9:30 a.m., you don't really want to be posting a lot of content at 10 o'clock at night. So following these things can help you tailor what you're doing to be more efficient for you and more effective for connecting with your audience. And a few tools I recommend. I'm a big fan of Facebook Insights. It's the free analytics tool within Facebook. And they just revamped it to give you more data that you can use to make decisions about what's working and what's not. If you're on YouTube, they've also got a built-in analytics platform. And a few third-party tools. One is called Blitz Metrics, and here's a screenshot from their dashboard. And it helps you check out analytics across a few different platforms. And that starts at about $30 a month. And Statagram is another tool you can use to measure engagement, likes, comments, and also top followers on Instagram. I've given you a few tips for really setting up a foundation for your visual marketing, and now Linda Simonton is going to give you some tips on putting it all into action.
Thanks, Lauren. As Lauren said, I'm going to take you through some specific visual social media. We're going to talk about Houzz, Pinterest, and Instagram. For those of you who don't know it, Houzz is basically a storehouse of over 2 million photos related to the home building, construction, and design field. And it is a wonderful online source for people who are trying to renovate their homes, thinking about purchasing a home, and building homes. It has over 14 million monthly users. Although Houzz is targeted to a more specific market in the home design and building field, a lot of the principles of this medium can be applied to different social media. What I do like about Houzz is it really allows people to change the conversation they're having with their clients. It really opens up a lot of opportunities for using visuals and discussing photos and ideas versus just allowing people to communicate via words. And it's a great tool for people who are in the design field. It also allows people to enhance their online presence with an extended portfolio. And a lot of times this sort of source like Houzz can be an extension of your website. You can actually have people go to another online source that's reflective of your business. Houzz also gives people the ability to listen and learn. Because potential clients or clients are putting photos into their own idea books, you're able to see what types of images are resonating with people, and you can use that information to enhance your other marketing activity. For example, you could take a photo that's being shared or uploaded a lot on Houzz, and that could become the basis of your next print campaign. Now, we know Houzz is a powerful tool, but how do we get it? Do we get success with it? And what you need to do is you need to raise your ranking. And how you do that is by completing your profile. And Houzz has various ways that you can add to your profile. You want to start with a thorough description of your business, who you are, where you do business, any special accreditations or accomplishments you have. And you also want to get reviews. Reviews are essential to being raised on your ranking in Houzz, very similar to how it is with other social media. You want to stay active and engaged on Houzz. You want to interact and have comments with people. You want to answer questions. And you also want to place the house badge on your website. The unique thing about Houzz is it is a very well organized tool, and keywords are critical when it comes to Houzz. You want to be sure that you are clear to your geography, the style of the different photos or the projects that you're representing with your photos, and you also want to be clear about the scope of your work, and so you're able to attract the right type of business. Here's an example of a photo on Houzz being optimized. You can see how we've tagged it by metro location, by giving it very specific keywords that are carefully selected to appeal to prospective customers, and we've also organized it so it's easy to find on Houzz. Pinterest is probably more well known than Houzz is, and I like to think of Houzz as a tool for working with existing or close to closing clients, whereas Pinterest is really a very strong website traffic builder. Even though this tool is very new, it has exploded. In fact, we see more referral traffic to business websites with Pinterest than you do with Google, YouTube, and Google Plus, excuse me, YouTube and LinkedIn combined. It is a very serious business tool. Pinterest has just begun to monetize their site, And we're seeing a lot more opportunities for businesses to leverage Pinterest. First step is creating a business account. It's a very simple thing to do. You go and register on the Pinterest site. They'll give you some HTML code that can be put on the back end of your main website, and then you follow a few quick steps to get authorization and verification. What this allows you to do is have access to Pinterest analytics, and finally you get to see how different pins are performing on Pinterest. It's a very valuable tool. Pinterest is also giving people the ability to use rich pins that are for businesses that have a lot more e-commerce data on them, and they've just recently announced the ability to promote pins similar to Facebook promotional posts. The nice thing about Pinterest is it gives your company the ability to showcase your style and really explain who you are. It's not just a tool for using your photography, it's a chance for you to bring in a variety of different media and different images to very clearly tell your story. It's a lot of fun to use, but don't be fooled because this is a serious business tool, and everything you do should be, every board you create should always be created with the idea of keyword search in mind. If you are a company, this is Cottage and Bungalow that we've referenced earlier in the post, we are very much targeting beach home owners, and a lot of these boards are specifically created to attract people looking for decorating ideas for their beach homes. Lastly, I want to touch on Instagram. Instagram has over 130 million people using it. It is essentially a photo sharing app for their mobile phones. It's quick, it's easy, and it's a really powerful tool. The thing with Instagram is if you're going to use it as a marketing tool for your business, have a very clear plan of action. Don't get sucked into just feeling like I should use Instagram and let's jump in and do it. How is it going to work within the variety of other marketing tools you're using? The screenshot on the left is from an interior designer, Lauren Lease, who's Washington, D.C. based. And Lauren uses her Instagram account to really showcase more of her personality. And while she has shots of her business, she also incorporates photos of her children, her garden. I like how she uses Instagram because this seems like someone I would like to work with. She seems really savvy. I like the photos. She seems warm and friendly. I feel like I'd like to pick up the phone and have her work on my home project. And you can use that whether it doesn't have to be a design business, obviously, but really thinking about what's the story you want to tell with these photos. On the flip side is a collage of boards from Emily Blinko, and she's used Instagram in a very carefully curated way with these beautiful botanical collages. And these are really wonderful, shareable visuals that make a very strong statement as to her passion for gardening and a very powerful tool. Like other social media, you can tag people on Instagram, and we don't want to, we want to get credit for every time we show someone in a photo and make sure they know we're sharing and showing photos of them. So don't forget to tag just as you would in other social media. Always a little detail adds a lot more enhancement to your photos. And finally, we want to give you a bonus tip because we couldn't fit all our information into 21 tips, and that's always be a good community member. Remember that you are not there just to broadcast information no matter what type of social media you're using. Share information that's valuable to the people you're interacting with and give them helpful, important information that helps you be part of a very specific community. And finally, give credit where credit is due. I think it's really easy in this age of instant gratification of sharing something on Facebook or putting it onto Pinterest or even to your blog that, you have to be very careful that you source photos Ideally to both the photographer and the company or person who originally used the photo. And it's just good practice. And I often say to clients, we want to treat other people's photos the way you would want your photos treated. So always be a good community member and share the credit for everybody. Okay, so.
Hey guys, this is Chris. Thanks for attending. We had a couple questions that some of you asked today in the chat, and we wanted to just get to those at the end. A first one, which is really for Linda, is what kind of success have you seen with Houzz with your clients? Maybe an example.
Okay, I have seen a lot of success with Houzz. I will tell you, I have definite circumstances where clients have found my architect clients on Houzz. I also have a lot of clients who use the tool successfully, that they don't put all their photos on their website. They put a lot of additional images on Houzz, and they use that as a tool in the sale when they're working with a potential client, and also in the process of working on a specific project. So they will have clients set up specific idea books based on the project, but they have also had clients who have come to them based on the images they have on Houzz. Of course, you have to have a really good portfolio to use it to its best advantage, but if you have a lot of good photos, you take the time to tag them and organize them properly, it really, truly is a great tool.
Another question we had was, what kind of software do you use to track your analytics? We use a few different things. We use a software called HubSpot, which is really great with leads. We also use the Digital Sherpa dashboard, which is a software that we have built that helps us track all the traffic and all the social media that's going on, and help us calculate the ROI on the leads we have coming in. And then finally, someone asked if the pictures on my blog are already misnamed. Should I go back and fix them? The answer is really yes. I would suggest doing kind of a content audit from time to time, maybe once or twice a year, and just go through your blog post and look at how you're tagging and labeling your links, look at how you're tagging your photos, and then really what you can do is look in analytics. Look in your Google Analytics. If you don't have one, set one up. It's free. It's very easy to use. And see if you're getting traffic on some weird stuff that isn't in line with your website or your business. And that's how we kind of figured out the whole Lightbulb thing. It wasn't by looking at the post. It was really just looking at our results and our analytics. That's all we have time for today. Thanks you guys a lot. We will be sending a recorded version to all of you after the webinar if you wanted a chance to look at it again. Or you can head over to our website at digitalsherpa.com. We should have a copy up there. And hopefully you'll check out our blog and keep in touch and stay in touch with us. Thank you.